Good morning again. So our topic for today will be how to make inexact differential equations exact. So there are two possible procedures that you can do or use. That way you can make an inexactly exact. So the first one is you have to check whether it would be possible for your given differential equation to have an integrating factor that contains solely a function of x, or that would be the f of x, or solely a function of y, and that would be your g of y. The process of determining the integrating factor is 100% similar to that in finding the integrating factor for first order linear differential equations. Now, should there be no function of x only, or function of y only, or g of y only, based on the two formulas that will be shared to you in a little while, you have to use the method of inspection, and will be referring to what you have in your book by Rainville, which is the Elementary Differential Equations by Rainville and BDN. So I will share my screen now based on the lesson that we have then uh, in Module 2. If you click Module 2 of your Canvas on lessons, you'll see this particular document attached. So I will be sharing this document now, and I'll be using this so that I'll be able to discuss the method of finding the integrating factor. Please check if you could see it already, and kindly give me a thumbs up sign if it's already seen. Okay, thank you for that particular confirmation. So the method of integrating factor allows you to choose from two different formulas as possible integrating factor for your inexact DE in order to make it exact. So the first formula is this. I'd like to show it to you. This one. Okay, that's the function of x formula that could be taken from the two partial derivatives that you performed in order to make your in order to check whether your provided differential equation is exact or not. So you did partial differentiation on m with respect to y, and partial differentiation of n with respect to x. So you're going to use that in this particular formula and divide it by n. Should the resulting equation only have an x variable on it, so meaning you don't happen to see any y variable in it, then it's possible for you to find the integrating factor using this particular formula. So I'll go down to show to you what that formula is. So the formula is this one. So it's similar to the formula in finding the integrating factor for first order linear differential equations. So in here, your function of x, I will write it in here because it was already scrolled up. So your function of x in here is 1 over n times the partial derivative of m with respect to y minus the partial derivative of n with respect to x. So this is your function of x. So this function of x, after you're able to find it, you'll place it in here and integrate. And that would be the integrating factor that you will multiply to your original DE to make it exact. Okay, so as an example, this is the example that is already placed there in the document that's shared in under lessons. So you have x squared plus y squared plus 1 multiplied to the differential of x plus x times the quantity x minus 2y multiplied to the differential of y equal to 0. In here, you copy the m, so that's your m. In here, you have the x multiplied to the x minus 2y to give you this one for your n. After you're done with that, you perform partial differentiations. So m will be partially differentiated in terms of y, and that should give you 2y. X squared and 1 will have derivatives of 0. And for the partial derivative of n with respect to x, that would be 2x minus 2y. If you could see they're not the same, they're not equal. So we say that our DE is not exact, or we call it inexact differential equation. So since it is inexact, we can make it exact using the formula that's provided here. So we will make use of these two partial derivatives and the n, this n here, so that we'll find the function of x. So before scrolling down, I'd like to erase this one because it will be reflected when we scroll down. So if you do that, you'll have this one now. So you'll have 2y minus 2x plus 2y if you do the subtraction of the partial derivatives in that order. And it could be simplified to the form negative 2 times x minus 2y. In this case, you will have here a 4y minus 2x. So you get the common factor, which is minus 2. Now, after that, you can divide it by n because as per formula, it should be divided by n. So this is your n, but you can use this one because it's already in factored form. And it would be easy for you to cancel what's common. So you could see that based on this difference of the partial derivatives and this n here, you can cancel the x minus 2y, leaving you with a negative 2 over x, which is solely a function of x. Then you're good to go in determining your integrating factor because it's just a function of x. So you have negative 2 over x in the case. Okay, after that, you go to the formula that solves the integrating factor. So that would be your e raised to the integral of the function of x dx. And you will have e raised to negative 2 ln of x. This negative 2 becomes the exponent of the x here. Never mind this one. There's a typo there, so it should not be there. We transfer the negative 2 here. And you'll have already x raised to negative 2, which is equivalent to 1 over x squared as your integrating factor. Now, what you'll do with that is you multiply your DE with this integrating factor. So your original DE is this, okay, this only. Now, it's multiplied to 1 over x squared equivalent to x raised to negative 2. And this will be the resulting expression after multiplication. It is 100% certain or sure that after you have multiplied your inexact DE by its integrating factor, it will be made exact. So just by illustration purposes, it will be partially differentiated again in terms of y and x for m and n respectively, just to show to you. But actually, when you're already doing this, to find the solution of an inexact DE, there's no need for you to do the next texting because it's automatic that it will be made exact. So this one, I place already m sub 1 and n sub 1 here because these are not your original m and n. You already altered it by multiplying it by 1 over x squared. So this now will be again partially differentiated just to check whether it's already exact or not. So if you partially differentiate the new m, the m sub 1 with respect to y, this is its partial derivative. And your n with respect to x will have this partial derivative. So they are now made the same. So we say that our DE is exact. Now, if your DE is exact, you follow the procedures. There are 3 different methods you can use to find the solution of an exact DE. And that procedure partially integrates with respect to x your m. So the m, the new m, the m1 will be partially integrated with respect to x. And as such, your constant of integration here will be g of y based on method 3. So I'm using method 3 here. Now, in method 3, this answer of yours for the partial integration of your m with respect to x will be partially differentiated with respect to y. So you partially differentiate this f here that you have with respect to y, and it should be giving you this one. The x and the x raised to negative 1 will have all derivatives equal to 0 because x here is considered a constant. After you have done partially differentiating your answer here with respect to y, you equate it with the new n. Okay, this is your new n. So if you equate it, you'll be able to see that this one, your 2x raised to negative 1 here, and this one will get cancelled. Now, by the way, there's a typo here. This should be negative because you see here that's negative. So when you partially differentiate with respect to y, it should be negative 2x raised to negative 1y. So you can cancel this both. You will have g prime of y equal to 1. When you integrate it with respect to y, you'll have the answer as y. Now, this is your g of y, which will be substituted here. So now it's x minus x raised to negative 1 y squared minus x raised to negative 1 plus y. The g of y is y here, and it's equal to c. Now, the solution of your DE is actually already this one, the f. But when you write it, don't write the f. Just this one only with the c appearing on the right side. If you'll have it written in a different form, that way you'll be able to simplify it and you'll not have any negative exponents. So you will have x minus y squared over x minus 1 over x plus y equal to c. If you intend not to see any x in the denominator, you can also multiply the entire equation by x. So you'll have x squared minus y squared. This one is plus xy and that one is multiplied to x, so that would be negative 1. The right side would be cx. Now, this is the solution of your inexactly made exact using one of the two formulas of finding the integrating factor, and that's your function of x. Yeah, any questions? So if there aren't any questions, we'll move on to the next. And the next and the other formula is g of y. So since it's g of y, it's just a function of y. We'll just place it in the middle. Okay, so your g of y will be somehow similar to the function of x, only that we interchange the manner of subtracting the partial derivatives here. So it's partial derivative of n with respect to x minus partial derivative of m with respect to y, this time dividing it by m, not by n. You're expected to get a g of y only or a function of y only. If this is correct, that you'll only be getting a g of y only, then your integrating factor will be solved using this formula. So it will not be anymore e raised to the integral of function of x dx, but it would be now e raised to the integral of g of y dy. Right? So we'll use this second probable integrating factor. I say probable because you're not certain that you will only come up with the g of y expression here on the second example. So in our second example, you have y squared as your m, and you have 3xy plus y squared minus 1 as your n. If you do partial differentiation, your m is 2y, your n is 3y. Because this one, if partially differentiated in terms of x, your y squared minus 1 will be 0. Okay, in terms of derivative. They're not the same, so we say that your DE again is not exact. So determining the integrating factor requires you that you use this formula, this one. Okay, so we will use that formula. And by the way, there's another typo here. This should be positive only, positive 3y, because that one is positive, so it's not negative. So your g of y here is 1 over m times the partial derivative of n with respect to x partial derivative of m with respect to y. So we'll do the subtraction. You're this one, you have 3y minus 2y, and it should be divided by the m, which is y squared. You'll see that you'll have a y in the numerator, y squared in the denominator. So it's 1 over y. So you see here now that your integrating factor is e raised to the integral of 1 over y dy, which is e ln of y, which gives you the integrating factor as y. So this y will be used as a multiplier here to make it now exact. So your integrating factor is y. Now, if you do that, allow me to erase because this will keep on appearing as I scroll down. If you multiply this original dE by y, this will be your resulting expression. So you'll have it now as y cubed, and this one will be 3xy squared plus y cubed minus y in here. Okay, and then you will partially differentiate again to check whether this is already exact. We can do that. So you will have partial derivative of m with respect to y. For this, that's 3y squared. Partial derivative of n with respect to x, this one, 3y squared. So it's now exact. Again, you need not do this because in principle, your dE will be made exact if it's multiplied by its integrating factor. So we use the method for exact dE in finding the solution. So we still have m as the partial derivative of f with respect to x, and that's your y cubed. You partially integrate it with respect to x, giving you x y cubed. And you have the constant of integration is g of y. Then you partially differentiate it in terms of y, so that would be 3y squared x plus g prime of y. You will equate it with the y, 3xy squared y cubed minus y. So again, you'll see that you'll be able to get rid of this too. So what's left there is g prime of y equal to y cubed minus y. So if you perform the integration, power rule will do y to the fourth over 4 minus y squared over 2. And we can say that your f, which is the solution of your dE, will now be y cubed x plus the g of y here, which is y raised to 4 over 4 minus y squared over 2 equal to c. If you don't wish to see any denominator, so you may multiply this entire equation by the LCD, which is 4. So you will have 4y cubed x plus y to the fourth minus 2y squared, because you have 2 here. Your c is still a c because it's an arbitrary constant. So it's just c anyhow. So this is your solution for the dE that is provided using the second possible formula in finding the integrating factor. Let's say, for example, for a particular differential equation, both formulas will not give you function of x and g of y only. So what will you do? That's the time that you use the method of inspection in finding the integrating factor. The method requires skill and a good fundamental in calculus and algebra. So that is why I always suggest to my student that let it be the last recourse when you solve a given differential equation. Meaning the last thing that you will do is to find the integrating factor by inspection. Please try the other techniques if it's applicable, or check whether it will form on a particular type of first order DE before you use the next method that I'm going to discuss. Because as I've said, it's quite a challenge to use it. Now, any question before we go to that? Okay, then I will stop sharing here and go to the book which has it. A copy of your book which has it. Okay, allow me to share my screen. Okay, can you see the 5.1 topic, integrating factors found by inspection?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in here, the author starts with giving you the commonly. So these are not your exact differentials, are not only limited to these four, but these are the commonly used exact differentials if we intend to find the integrating factor by inspection. So the first one is the exact differential of xy. So this the expression you see on the right is actually the product or the result of having to perform differentiation of the thing inside the parentheses. So since you see here variables x and y, you will perform implicit product rule of differentiation to these two. Why I say implicit? Because you have two variables. So meaning you're going to implicitly differentiate it in terms of the variable that you are differentiating. So first term x multiplied to the derivative of the second variable y, which is dy, plus second term y multiplied to the derivative of the first variable x, which is dx. So simply put, this exact differential d of xy is produced or performed using product rule of differentiation implicitly on the product of x and y. So this is the result. Now for equations 2 and 3, the next two that you see here, you're going to use quotient rule because you have x over y here in the case of equation 2, and you have y over x in case of equation 3. So what's the quotient rule? It's the denominator times the derivative of the numerator minus the numerator times the derivative of the denominator all over the square of the denominator. If we switch the process of dividing, so you also do the same thing. However, this time, your denominator will be x squared because your denominator here is x. As for arctan, I'm sure not all will recall arctan then. So in arctan, the derivative of arctan, for example, u, is actually the derivative of u, whatever that may be, all over 1 plus u squared. That's the formula. So in our case here, it's ru is y over x. So the du of that is, so you get the derivative of this, x dy minus y dx over x squared. That's the du. As for 1 plus u squared, you have 1 plus u squared. It's 1 plus, what's the u? Y over x. And you're going to square it. So you have 1 plus y squared over x squared, which is equivalent to x squared plus y squared over x squared. If you will substitute this du and this 1 plus u squared here, the result will be this one. Okay, so you have x dy minus y dx over x squared divided by x squared plus y squared over x squared. You notice that your denominators will cancel each other. So they will cancel each other, giving you the formula that you have here. which is x dy minus y dx over x squared plus y squared. What's the purpose of giving you these exact differentials? You will do rearranging, you will manipulate your original provided differential equation such that you'll get to see any of this. Why? Because if you get to see any of this in your differential equation after you have done regrouping, they are all equivalent to this. They are all equivalent to this exact differentials. All you have to do is just integrate and you drop the d. So you'll get the answers right away here on whatever is written inside the parentheses. Now, it's not as easy as it may seem because you say, okay, I'll just make sure that I'll get to find this so that I can replace it with its exact differential. Rearranging and manipulating your equation, that way you get to see these exact differentials, also requires that the rest of the terms in your DE could be integrated. And the rest of the terms in your DE could only be integrated if whatever is the differential that appears on it, the coefficient of such a differential will only contain the variable present in that differential. So if it's a dy, it should only be multiplied to an expression in terms of y for you to be able to have it integrated. If your coefficient for the differential of y has an x variable on it, it's not possible for you to integrate, even though you have successfully already done making sure that you have this particular or any of these particular exact differentials here. So that's the reason why if you're going to read your book or any reference books on finding the method of finding the integrating factor using the method of inspection really requires skill. And for those who are not that negligible or they are not really having a good footing on calculus and algebra, that would be a challenge. So that is why I keep on suggesting that let this be your last recourse. If you already checked with the rest of the techniques and types of first order DE, your DE cannot be solved, then this will be this will be the only thing that will that will solve it. But don't make it your first, shall I say, your first method. Okay? Now, I'd like to use the example that's provided here in your book. And this is the DE, the original DE that is given. So what was done here is that since this one, the coefficient of the differential of y has two terms as is a polynomial, you make sure that you first distribute. You first distribute your the differential of y to x plus x cubed y squared. After that, you try to regroup the terms that will produce the exact differentials that I have shown to you a while ago. So your x dy here should be grouped together with y dx because we know that this one is the d of x, y. So you have already partly accomplished converting y dx plus x dy to its equivalent exact differential. However, there's a big problem. While this one can be integrated by simply dropping the d and you'll be left with xy, this one cannot be integrated as I have explained a while ago. Why can it be not integrated? Because of this x cubed. X cubed cannot be integrated when your differential is dy. So you have to find a way, that way you'll be able to eliminate the x cubed here such that you can integrate this second term. That way that you will find should also not compromise this one. So when you think of something that, let's say, I will divide by x cubed because that will eliminate x cubed here. But that will change this one here. the first term. So if it changes the first term in such a way that you cannot anymore have it integrated, then you have to think what would be the proper way of doing it. In that case here, a simple division by x cubed will not work because it will introduce x cubed here on the d of xy. Then what should be the proper thing to do? So question mark, what should be the proper thing to do? Your integrating factor in this case, the thing that you will multiply to this original DE should, number one, eliminate x cubed here or address the problem of having x cubed in the second term while not compromising the first term in terms of it being readily integrable. Would that be possible? Of course, the answer is yes. It's possible. So this is how you do it. You already have this, right? You want this one taken out of here, but you cannot simply divide by x cubed. So what you're going to do, since you cannot divide by x cubed, and you intend to make this still integrable, what you're going to do, you will divide not only by x cubed, but also y cubed. Or you will multiply your original DE by 1 over xy raised to 3. A big question mark why? I want x cubed to be gone, but at the same time, I want this one integrable. So if you notice, multiplying by 1 over xy raised to 3 gives you this DE. The D of xy over xy raised to 3 plus this one will eliminate the y squared, but you introduce a y in the denominator. Will that be a problem for the dy here? Of course, the answer is a big no. This is still integrable because the variable 1 over y is integrable when you integrate it with dy. That will give you an ln of y. Now, question, how did this d of xy over xy raised to 3 became this one? You are to view, class, your 1 over xy quantity raised to 3. This is equivalent to 1 over u cubed. And that the d of xy is the du. So if you have 1 over u cubed du, it will simply be using power rule on this u cube. That would be actually u raised to negative 3 already. Why? Because you look at the entire xy as one entity, which is u. And its derivative is here, du, dxy, du. So using power rule to 1 over xy raised to 3, that would be xy raised to negative 2 over negative 2. And this is the thing that you see here. Negative 1 over 2, you will have x raised to negative 2 as 1 over x squared. That's the same thing with y raised to negative 2 as 1 over y squared. You may ask, why do we have here a negative ln of c, Miss Ali? It's a manipulative way of writing the arbitrary constant of integration for the author, the one that made this one, because he wants it to he wants that this particular answer can be simplified. You recall I'm saying to you that if the answer to your differential equation after integration yields an ln function, your c should be an ln of c. But since it's c, it could either be positive or negative. It could be either c raised to a positive exponent or c raised to a negative exponent. And as such, there's nothing wrong if it's negative ln of c here. This is just but arbitrary. In your case, you will or you may still write just the simple ln of c. The author just simply chose this, that way pwede maupo diraon. Or iupo dun sila di nga duwa nga side. This would be negative ln of y, and this is negative ln c, and this is negative. So all the negatives will be gone. And this is what I mean. So you have 1 over 2x squared y squared negative in here, you will have negative ln y minus ln c. He made it negative so that he can get rid of all these negatives here. So 1 over 2x squared y squared yields an ln of cy, because when you add ln's, the arguments are multiplied. And I think the rest is, you can understand. So 1 equal to 2x squared y squared ln of cy is this, the thing that you see. But still, you can have it answered this way. You can have it just simply as lnc, positive lnc. Now, I give you some time to process, or if you have any questions, you may ask questions now.
Miss,
Yes.
paano gani, Miss Liwat, Miss, ang 1 over xy raised to cube, Miss? Like,
Your
paano siya,
1,
Miss, naging, um,
okay, your 1 over xy raised to 3 could be viewed as 1 over u cubed. U being xy, and your d of xy here is equivalent then to du. So if you have du over u cubed, that would simply entail using power rule to 1 over u cubed, or that would simply be u raised to negative 3. If it's u raised to negative 3, the answer if integrated is u raised to negative 2 over negative 2. But what is that u that you place here? That's xy. Do you get it?
no.
Oh my. You change, you
Yes, ma'am.
view this xy as u. You look at it as one thing, u. Its exponent is cubed, so this is raised to 3. You see this is also dxy. So since you consider the xy here in the denominator as u, then this xy here in the derivative is also u. It's just like this one is du over u cubed. You get it? If you use power
Yes.
rule, you can, because this is just but u raised to negative 3. So if you use power rule, this becomes u raised to negative 2 over negative 2. But of course, you cannot stick to the u that you have in mind because your u is xy. So you write it as xy raised to negative 2 over negative 2.
Okay, Miss. Thank you.
Okay. Some more questions? Okay. Sige. Now we'll have the things that I have written here erased. We need to go to the next example. The next example will be even more challenging to understand than this one. So please bear with me. Read your textbook if you have the time, but I need to finish this in 15 minutes. I'll try to. Okay, this is the second example. You have y multiplied to the quantity x cubed minus y dx minus x multiplied to x cubed plus y dy equal to 0. Now in here, your m has 2 terms multiplied to y. Your n has also 2 terms multiplied to y. Your equation 7 being simplified to equation 8, I'm referring to the numbers you see beside the equation, is not something that is outright. The reason why the author wrote it that way is not something that it will be like that right away. So what you do, you expand. You have this expanded first. So you do distribution, something like that. Okay? If you do expansion and write it here, you'll have something as x cubed y dx minus y squared dx. And you go here, you will have x to the 4th dy, and you will have minus xy dy equal to 0. Okay? That's always the goal. Have your DE written in expanded form if you really intend to use the method of inspection and finding the integrating factor. Now, after you have done this, this is where skill will play a very important role. And what is that skill that we're talking about? The skill of regrouping such that you will come up with a resulting expression that will fall on any of the exact differentials that was discussed at the start, those four that I have shown to you. You do regrouping such that it would be possible for you to come up with the exact differentials that was shown to you a while ago. And that is skill. It's not something that you acquire overnight, or it's not something that you acquire in just a week. That's a skill that you acquire probably in burning your midnight candles for 2 weeks just for just the method of inspection. But there are some who can really see and has a keen eye on how to do regrouping. So again, I still go back to my suggestion that if you feel uncomfortable first of using this method, then let it be your last recourse when you find the solution of the DE. But going back to our goal today, we need to regroup. That way we'll have the exact differentials that we have discussed a while ago. In my case, if I'm a student, I have noticed that I have an x cube here and I have an x to the fourth here. I have this y dx and I have this x dy if I will factor out the x cubed in both of these terms. It doesn't mean that if I see that likelihood of happening would be appropriate, that it will solve my DE right away. It's just my hunch that probably I can do it this way. So then, I'll try to have this paired. I'll have these two paired, okay? And then, I'll check on the remaining terms that I have. What will happen to the remaining terms I have? I have noticed again that I have here negative y and I have here also negative y. If I factor out the negative y, I will have here y dx and I will have here x dy. Why always y dx, x dy, Miss Annie? Or y dx minus x dy or x dy minus y dx? Because it's any of those exact differentials that we have covered a few minutes ago. So, amo na permi ang aton panumdumon nga probably. But doesn't mean that when you did regrouping like this one that I did, if I'm the student and a newbie on this, I will know right away and I will get it right. If you don't get it right, then do another regrouping. So then, this is your regrouping. Okay? Just a few minutes, class. Okay, have to drink water. Sorry about that. Now, if you do that, this is what happens now. In the blue, you will have x cubed factored out. And you have y dx minus x dy here. After all, you have y dx and x dy. But it's minus because you have factored out only x cubed. So this would be minus x dy. In the second grouping, the green grouping that I wrote, I'd like to factor out negative y because both are negative anyhow. And see whether what will I have after. So I have a y dx and x dy. Now, if you look very closely, class, there's a different font here. This one is the D of XY already. While this one can be the D of X over Y. But it still lacks the Y squared. It's still lacking the Y squared because for this one, the Y dx minus X dy to be an exact differential, it should have a Y squared on it. So what do? We multiply our entire equation A by y squared because we intend to have the d of xy. So you will multiply by 1 over y squared. Okay? Let's see what will happen if we will multiply by 1 over y squared. Equation 9 is the product of such multiplication. So you will have x cubed and the d of xy now will be this because you have already introduced y squared here. So it will be the now replaced by d of x over y. And this one is still the d of xy. Your negative y over y squared will be 1 over y. You still have the negative though. If you look very closely, you are not yet done. You are never done in this case if you look at equation 9 because your du here, going back to the question a while ago, your du, your u is xy, but your variable here is only y. In the other term, in the first term here, your u is x over y, but your variable, your coefficient here is only x. So actually, both terms, in terms of their u, the first term having the u x over y, the second term having the u xy, cannot be readily integrated yet. Hindi pa siya ma-integrate because ang iya nga upod nga coefficient hindi pareho sa u nga ga-appear sa sulod sang d. It should be the same. Now, we just erase this one so I can go down. So you're not yet done. You need to do something to this equation 9 to make it integrable or to make the two terms in equation 9 readily integrable. So you need something to multiply. So your first multiplier is y squared. So that you'll have something like this. So you now have to think of another multiplier. That way, you'll be able to introduce y over y here in the first term. And you'll be able to introduce over x on the second term. Diri kulang ka sang y o kay x cube lang na wala siya sang y sa first term. Diri sa second term kulang ka sang x kay y lang. So, kinahanglan kung ano ang u mo sundo na siya dapat. Pero you are lost as to what should be the exponent of the x and the y that you will multiply to this. That way, not only are you addressing your problem with the first term, but also you're addressing your problem in the second term. You do not know the exponent of the x and y. Since you do not know, then you assign it letters, any letter you want. In this case, the author assigned k for x and n for y. Now, for the first term, here for the first term, your y should be negative. Your y should be negative because it's in the denominator. So you have to think of, you have now this one. You have x raised to k plus 3 y raised to n d of xy minus k, or rather x times raised to k times y raised to n minus 1 d of xy. What happened here is that you multiplied this equation 9 by x raised to k and y raised to n. And combined with whatever you have here. So since you already have 3 here, that's the reason why you see here a k plus 3. And since you don't have any y there, so y raised to n. Then just copy this one here. Same thing with this, x raised to k, so was copied. And then your y here is already negative 1. So it should be combined with the n here. So you have y raised to n minus 1. D of xy. You copy only the partial differentials. Still, you do not know the very important k and n. So the next thing that you do is this. But before I continue, have any question? Sige. So what would be this k and n? We'll erase because this will... Okay. Now, in your first term here, you need an x over y expression. This x over y expression, for you to be able to use power rule, should have the same numeric value. So meaning kung x mo di raised to 1, dapat ang y mo raised to 1 man. However, they have negative signs because your y is in the denominator. And your x is in the numerator. So it should be positive. Your y is in the denominator, should be negative. So you see this equation 11, your k plus 3 is equal to negative n. They have to be equal for you to be able to use power rule. You use power rule such that you will see here an x over y as well. So k plus 3 should be the negative of n. But they should be equal. So you see this? They should be equal. Now, in here naman niya, pero sila multiply, ho. So, hindi ka ka-negative. So, kung ano si k mo, amo man na si n minus 1. Why? Because these two are being multiplied. They should have the same exponent because otherwise, you cannot also have power rule if they're not the same. So, if you use the two equation or solve the two equations simultaneously, using your algebra, you'll be able to find that k should be negative 2 and n should be negative 1. What does that mean? This means that your multiplier for your DE, the DE that we have here, let me just go up. Your multiplier for this DE in equation 10, if you may take a screenshot of that, if you're following this through your notes, should be multiplied to, or not that one, this one, equation 9 rather. Your DE equation 9 should be multiplied to, so this should be the multiplier. It should be multiplied to x raised to negative 2, y raised to negative 1. Because the negative 2 here is for the x, and the negative 1 is for the y. If you do that, I'll copy the one that we have there. So I can write it here. That one. This is that one. If you're going to multiply, what's the result? Your x cubed multiplied to x raised to negative 2 will be x. And this y raised to negative 1 will be y. So, ang resulta, siniyo, ini, kung i-multiply mo di, that will result to an x over y. Okay? If you multiply this one by x raised to negative 2 and y raised to negative 1, this one now will change. It will become 1 over x squared because of this, and your y here will combine with this y here. So it would be y squared. So if we will write it, this one now will be actually 1 over xy squared. Your new coefficient for the d of xy will be xy. Your new coefficient for the negative d of xy will be 1 over xy quantity squared. And that's the thing that you see here below. See this? You have now xy, d of xy, minus d of xy, d of x over y, minus d of xy over x squared, y squared. Just like the question a while ago, you can consider this xy as your u. So power rule dictates that this is raised to 1. So it would be now 2 over 2. So xy raised to 2 over 1/2. Well, this one using power rule will be 1 over xy because this one will be xy raised to negative 1 over negative 1. Again, this constant c over 2 was just arbitrarily chosen by the author to come up with an expression that he can readily simplify. Okay, so you have a class at 11:30. Now, this particular recording will be shared to you in Canvas. Please listen to it again, and please check the announcements that I will be posting in Canvas or in GC. Okay, but before we go, class, I'll just stop sharing.